Lawiza Buddha, wife of Usman Buddha, fell down, wailing with grief for her husband. Usman Buddha, who was murdered by a mob in a marketplace in Sokoto, she screamed, "Yalla, Yalla," and fainted following the news of his gruesome killing. Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I will be profiling 5 cases of human rights violations in Nigeria where justice hasn't been served. My first case today is the story of Deborah Samuel Yakubu, a clear case of unlawful arbitrary killing and violation of her human rights. On the 12th of May 2022, Deborah Samuel Yakubu, a 25-year-old second-year student of home economics at the Shehu Shagari College, was lynched and set on fire for blasphemy by her classmates, following on from a message in a WhatsApp group. Deborah Samuel was happy that she had passed her exams at Shehu Shagari College of Education in Wamako, Sokoto State, Nigeria, and posted a voice message in a WhatsApp group. According to sources from Open Doors UK, she said, "Jesus Christ is the greatest. He helped me pass my exams." For this message, she was murdered. Some students in the group shared posts related to Islam, and Deborah was responding with her own message about Jesus. It hasn't been possible to confirm the exact wording Deborah used, as other students have refused to repeat the blasphemy to the media. But 2 students from other departments who overheard some boys discussing the matter told Deborah's close friends to get her to retract the statement. But she replied via a voice note on the platform, "Holy Ghost fire, nothing will happen to me. Is it by force that you guys will always be sending this religious stuff to this group? The group wasn't created for that, but rather for notices about tests, exams, and assignments, not these nonsense religious posts." Some reports say she used the word nonsense Islam. Muslim students took offense and threatened Deborah. College staff tried to evacuate her, but a group of angry men pulled her and began attacking her. She was stoned to death, and then her body was burned. Deborah would have earned the Nigerian Certificate of Education, which would have qualified her for a job as a teacher. Unfortunately, that dream was torched and burnt to ashes by misguided religious zealots. A private security personnel in the college, who gave his name as Nasiru Adamu, told The Insight recently that though the authorities at Shehu Shagari College of Education claimed some hoodlums were hired to carry out the dastardly act, the truth was that students of the college were actively involved in Deborah's murder. He claimed to have witnessed the barbaric incident, saying, "I can still recall vividly when she was murdered. Her classmates, who disguised as mobs, stoned her to death in a cruel manner. They began to stone her, hit her with rods and sticks, and she died. After she finally gave up the ghost, the mob jubilated that they had killed her, cheering and shouting, 'Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar.'" After Deborah was killed, the school authorities, headed by Mr. Wadata Hakimi, its provost, in a letter to its students that described the incident as a student's rampage without even condemning the act, shut the institution indefinitely. However, in August 2022, after just 3 months, the institution was reopened. When The Insight visited the college, it discovered that no formal investigation was carried out by the school authorities. Rather, each student was made to pay a fine of 1,000 naira with a warning that the college would not tolerate any form of violence on campus any further. A video that went viral showed faces of those who were involved in killing Deborah, but the police in Sokoto have made no arrests or identified the people with those faces. 2 main suspects, Bilyaminu Aliyu and Aminu Hunkuchi, were charged with the lesser offense of criminal conspiracy and inciting public disturbance by the Sokoto state government, but were both acquitted at the Magistrates Court 2 in Sokoto. After a group of lawyers, 34 in total, rose up in their defense. By Saturday, the 14th of May, the protest turned violent. Rioters armed with machetes, knives, and sticks and chanted Islamic prayers and demanded the release of the 2 suspects. Many shops were looted and burnt, and churches were attacked and vandalized. So far, the federal government and the Nigeria Police Force, who promised to ensure justice was done, have not held anyone accountable for the murder. In fact, in a 5-page court judgment delivered on January 30th, 2023, in the Magistrates Court in Sokoto, Chief Magistrate Shaibu Ahmed set the suspects free, citing the absence of the police prosecution during a series of hearings. For some unknown reason, the prosecution didn't show up in court a minimum of 5 times, which begs the question, could the prosecution have been intimidated? The state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Suleiman Usman, told the Insight the police claim to have declared wanted two other suspects caught on video killing Deborah, and they have been declared wanted. But he said there's an issue here because most crimes committed in Sokoto are carried out by those who come from other states or neighboring countries like Niger Republic. And that seems to be the case of Deborah's death. He further said that you hardly see people of Sokoto origin being involved in this kind of criminal act because they have families that can easily be traced. But that's rather surprising though, because Deborah's classmates, including security personnel, have stated that she was lynched by students in her college. The argument also doesn't make sense because the Niger Republic could be engaged on this matter and not be allowed to harbor murderers who come to take the life of any Nigerian on Nigerian soil. Where is the evidence that Niger Republic has been engaged? Has Interpol been contacted? Where are we with Deborah's case? Who were the Muslim students who took offense at Deborah's comments and threatened her? Was the crime scene isolated to gather evidence? Did the two suspects have their DNA taken to eliminate them from the scene of the crime? If any question was done by the authorities, what was the outcome? Nigerians need answers. If you want to see more of this content, like and share the video so our voice can be heard. My second case is the story of Usman Buddha, another case of unlawful arbitrary killing and violation of his human rights. According to The Guardian UK, Lawiza Buddha, wife of Usman Buddha, fell down, wailing with grief for her husband. Usman Buddha, who was murdered by a mob in a marketplace in Sokoto, she screamed, "Yalla, Yalla," and fainted following the news of his gruesome killing. On the 25th of June 2023, Usman Buddha, a devout Muslim and butcher, allegedly blasphemed the Holy Prophet Muhammad during an argument with another trader in a marketplace and was immediately surrounded by an angry mob, bombarded with stones and fatally wounded. According to some eyewitnesses, the confrontation was triggered by a theological debate when a beggar asked for money. According to the Vanguard, many sheikhs and imams have made a plea to the Sokoto state government and security agencies urging them to take swift action in apprehending and holding accountable those responsible for the murder. They demanded justice for Usman because he was unjustly accused and killed. One of the imams highlighted that several individuals had testified to the religious devotion of Usman Buddha, asserting that he was innocent of the alleged offense. However, The Guardian UK stated that the Sokoto state government issued a controversial response condemning the killing but vowing to deal decisively with anyone found of any act aimed at degrading the personality of Prophet Muhammad, and they offered no condolences to the grieving family. The police promised to bring the killers to justice, but as yet have made no arrests, and so far there is no record of anyone being prosecuted or jailed in Nigeria for killings related to blasphemy allegations. According to the Vanguard newspaper, suggestions were that Buddha made a statement interpreted as derogatory of the Holy Prophet, and a mob shouting "Allahu Akbar" quickly assembled to execute what they perceived as justice. A few eyewitnesses, including Nuhu Bala, denied the accusation of blasphemy against Usman, saying that some of his colleagues misunderstood his preaching and labeled him a kafir, an unbeliever, accusing him of blaspheming the Holy Prophet. This led to them pelting him with stones and attacking him with knives. Nuhu said they initially attempted to intervene and protect him, but they were overwhelmed by the mob. They immediately notified the police, but sadly, he was killed before their arrival. The horror of this scene was captured on video, with even children participating in the gruesome killing. The impact of the killing has been huge on Usman's family. Usman was the sole provider for the entire family, and he was survived by 6 children. The irony of this story is that it bears a chilling resemblance to the story of Deborah Samuel Yakubu. Both stories are stories of religious extremism and bigotry, mob justice, a total disrespect for human rights and dignity. Injustice Israel is appealing to the Sokoto government to revisit this case, give justice to his family. Lessons must be learned to immediately identify the signs or triggers of religious extremism and how it can be curbed. If you have liked our content so far, like and share the video so our voice makes an impact. My third case is the story of Leah Sharibu, a case of abduction and kidnapping. Leah Sharibu was kidnapped along with 110 other schoolgirls from the Dapchi Girls Secondary School in Yobe State on the 19th of February 2018 by Boko Haram's ISWAP, that's the Islamic State's West Africa province, the faction of it. At the time of her kidnap, Leah was just 14 years old. About a month later, all the girls were released through negotiations with the Islamic terrorist group by Nigeria's federal government. All were released, but not Leah Sharibu. It was reported that all the kidnapped girls had converted to Islam, but 14-year-old Christian girl Leah Sharibu chose not to convert, remaining true to her Christian faith. Today, she is still in captivity as a result of her faith. In a video released 6 months into Leah's captivity, Reverend Gideon Paramalam, president of the Gideon and Fumi Peace Foundation, revealed that Leah Sharibu herself appealed to the federal government of Nigeria and the Christian Association of Nigeria to act to rescue her in the video. So far, Leah has turned 20 in captivity, and there still is no news of her release in sight. Leah was a child when she was taken. Now she's an adult. Last year, according to Open Doors UK, rumors circulated that she had been married to a rebel commander and has 3 children, although this has not been confirmed. The impact of these reports have increased the pain already felt by her parents, Rebecca and Nathan, and has led to many reinforcing their call for Nigeria's government to do more to seek Leah's release. Despite several government promises that Leah will be freed, the agonizing wait goes on for her and her parents. Open Doors stated that in January 2022, General Lucky Rabo, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff at the time, reassured Leah's parents in an interview on Nigerian television that concrete plans were being put in place to secure the release of not only Leah, but all those being held in captivity by terrorists. Assurances also came from President Buhari, who pledged to secure Leah's freedom. So the question still remains. Why was the federal government able to secure the release of the other girls but not Leah? It's an injustice that Leah was held back against her wish. Leah was a child whose childhood was stolen. What was the agreement that ensured the release of the other girls and not Leah? How much effort has gone into intel to secure the release of Leah? Is Leah Sharibu actually still alive? Or is there something Nigerians are not being told? My fourth case is the case of the mass burial of the endsars victims, the Lekki Tollgate massacre. In October 2020, thousands of young Nigerians across the country took to the streets to protest police brutality and called for reforms, particularly with regard to the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, of the police. The protests quickly gained international attention and resulted in the controversial shooting of protesters at the popular Lekki Tollgate in Lagos, one of the rallying points for demonstrators. An on-the-ground investigation by Amnesty International confirmed that Nigerian security forces opened fire on thousands of peaceful protesters who were peacefully calling for good governance and an end to police brutality, killing at least 12 protesters at Lekki Tollgate and in Alausa. Amnesty International also released a report documenting at least 82 cases of torture, ill treatment, and extrajudicial killings of endsars between 2017 and 2020. On 16th November 2020, a judicial panel of inquiry set up to investigate the Lekki Tollgate killings submitted its report, which indicted the military and the police for killing unarmed protesters who were sitting on the floor and waving Nigerian flags and singing. Since the protest in 2020, there has been controversy over the number of deaths recorded during the endsars protests. Both the Lagos state government and the federal government have consistently denied any mass killing during the endsars protest, resulting in the governor setting up an inquest led by Justice Doris Okuobi. The New Internationalist stated that after about a year of examining petitions, cross-examinations and visits to the crime scene, the judicial panel of inquiry set up in the aftermath of the killings found the army culpable of massacre in a damning report and made recommendations for restitution. But to date, nobody has been held accountable and police brutality has slowly become the order of the day again in Nigeria. Also, Nigerians are not any wiser as to who gave the order to have protesters shot. A leaked government memo dated 19th of July 2023 that went viral on social media, which was addressed to the Lagos State Ministry of Health, indicated that the state government had approved more than 61 million naira for the mass burial of 103 people identified as victims of the endsars protest in October 2020. The contract was awarded to Mrs. TOS Funeral Limited. The details of the contract approval were signed by Mr. Idowu, the Director General of the Lagos State Procurement Agency. However, the Lagos State government, in its response to the memo, stated that the victims to be buried were not from the Lekki tollgate shooting and that the Lagos State Environmental Health Unit picked up bodies in the aftermath of the endsars violence and community clashes. Issa Sanusi, director of Amnesty International Nigeria, said it is appalling that the Lagos State government has not even mentioned that it has held the bodies of 103 endsars victims in its custody since October 2020. In response, the government stated that they had put out statements in the newspapers informing people about the dead bodies so the bodies can be claimed, but there was no response. The impact of this plan to bury many victims has revived the pain of the massacre without justice for so many families. For now, the government has halted the mass burial. Thank God. The Nigerian government should not conduct a burial without a thorough investigation into how 103 Nigerian citizens died. There should be transparency and an autopsy stating the cause of death for all 103 victims. Nigerians are entitled to know who gave the order to shoot on that fateful day. The families should be contacted and restitution should begin. All those detained because of their role in the endsars protest must be immediately released, and the government should provide families access to justice and mental well-being. My fifth case is the story of Chinonso Obiye. This case bears all the hallmarks of human rights abuse with torture, inhumane and degrading treatment, threatening prison conditions, arbitrary arrest and detention. On July 26, 2021, Chinonso went to Abuja to attend the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. He was a final year student who just wanted to witness the proceedings. On his return from Abuja, he was in a car with two other friends when they were stopped at a military checkpoint and asked to wait for DSS officials who were looking for a Sienna. When they arrived, they questioned Chinonso and his friends, searched them and went through their phones on 2 occasions. The phones were returned, but for the third time they requested the phones again, but this time they asked if any of them had an extra phone, and they responded that they didn't. The DSS officers proceeded to search the entire vehicle. While searching their bags, they found an extra battery that belonged to his friend Kenneth Ojima. They asked Kenneth about the device using the battery, and he told them he was with the extra battery because of power issues, as his current battery had a short lifespan. However, the officers said it was a lie, claiming he had either thrown the phone using the battery away or hidden it in the vehicle. This is where everything changed. Immediately, the officers beat him repeatedly. From there, their hands were tied like common criminals, and all 3 of them were taken to the DSS office in Lokoja. The next day, they were handcuffed and taken back to the DSS office in Abuja. Before getting there, they were blindfolded and stripped of everything they had on them. On getting there, they took them to an underground cell called Basement 2 and were asked several questions to confirm if they were part of a group called the Eastern Security Network, ESN. The next day, they took them to Wawa military cantonment in Niger State. This is where about 1,669 Boko Haram suspects are being held. And this is where they were till they got their freedom in June 2024, almost 3 years after. What did Chinedu experience at the military cantonment? In his interview with Foundation for Investigative Journalism, he described his experience as horrendous. He said people were maltreated without help. They were purposely starved just for punishment. When they complained they hadn't eaten, the officers stopped giving them water too. So they forgot about the food and were just begging for water. They were not allowed to step out of their cells for fresh air for weeks, months, or even years. He described how many unjust things happened in the facility. They were treated like ordinary animals, and in this facility, new people joined them every 3 months. He continued by saying that people died there every day, almost every time. Sometimes in the middle of the night, someone could fall seriously ill and they would shout, "Emergency, emergency!" but nobody would respond to them. If the person doesn't survive, they will just come the next morning and take the person's corpse and bury it. Once in 3 months, or sometimes once in 5 months, they were given soap to have a bath, and they were given shorts and a top only once a year. In all of this, at no time were Chinonso and his friends told what their offense was, and neither were they taken before a court of law. Chinonso's story is actually a lot more horrendous than I have described. His desire is to come on our channel and share his story himself. As of last week, when I spoke to him, he was unwell in hospital as a result of the trauma of his experience. Hopefully, he will get well enough to come and speak to us. This type of abuse should not be allowed to continue. The basic rule of law is that you are innocent till proven guilty. It's an injustice for any institution to do otherwise. What are the solutions? The Nigerian government should investigate what goes on in that cantonment. The DSS needs to be cleaned out of unscrupulous elements, heartless, corrupt individuals. Legal reforms are now necessary. The justice system needs to be reviewed. If we can't rely on the justice system, who can we rely on? Nigeria also needs to repeal its blasphemy laws. The government must ensure that decisions and policies that safeguard the sanctity of human life is upheld, because it is only righteousness that exalts a nation. If you have a story of injustice that you want us to cover, let us know. Our social media handles are below. Please like and share this video. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.